Ah, shit. Get your tea and your popcorn because we have hit yet another psychological jackpot.
Okay, it's down here. Ain't nobody on camera. Huh?
My feelings are so hurt. How Miss Tina did me is, oh my God. I was so embarrassed and so humiliated, but I hate that I purchased from her. She treated me not in a good way. She treated me like I was nothing. I was so excited to meet this lady. It was terrible. I literally could break down. Dogs, I'm gonna set it over there.
Let's talk about Tina Knowles. You know how she was rude to that sister. These people pick and choose who they want to socialize with. She decided just to be rude to, this customer. She's buying your expensive gumbo. I wouldn't even buy it if somebody was rude to me. When you're wealthy, you act snooty. That shit is fucked up and it's wicked to me. But you got people like that because, they got something, and they're wealthy and rich, they have this little shitty attitude like they're above everybody. But yeah.
This is the classic case of a black-owned business gone wrong. So Tina Knowles got her Exotical wake-up call. She got her mixed-race wake-up call. So I've said this several times. If you are like some sort of mixed black woman, if you're some sort of biracial black woman, maybe you're multi-generationally mixed, the way that a lot of black women will view you is you're kind of on the outskirts of the black sisterhood. It's almost like you're at the bottom of the black sisterhood. You know how unambiguous women complain about being at the bottom of society? I feel like when you are a privileged black woman, whether the privilege comes from your race or your phenotype, that black sisterhood is very weak because Tina Knowles literally started a quote-unquote black-owned business. Guess who she was serving? She was serving the black community. She was serving black women in a black city at the Houston Rodeo. So her whole entire premise of her business was literally to help black women to have a good time. She is Beyonce's mom. She knew the exact demographic that would be showing up to the gumbo shop. So she took her time and energy to create this business. And by the way, we're going to get into the false rumors as well because it really was annoying seeing how many fake ass bitches on YouTube were talking shit and they did no research on Tina Knowles' gumbo shop. I followed the entire thing on TikTok from the beginning to end, and I can tell you exactly how it started. It all started with this beluga ass bitch right here. It started with this woman where she wanted to take a picture with Tina Knowles, and Tina declined taking a picture, which is fine. Have you ever noticed that when you are the bougie black woman, you have to speak to everybody? Otherwise, they're going to get mad and say, you don't speak to nobody, or like you're acting stuck up. So basically what happened is this woman got mad because Tina Knowles didn't want to take a picture. And it's like, bitch, she's fucking Tina Knowles. She's 70 years old. She doesn't want to stand outside for hours. You don't know what's going on with her health. You don't know what's going on with her body. So if she is done taking pictures for the day and she doesn't want to stand outside for several hours, then she doesn't have to. And I've noticed that in the black community, there's this obsession with proximity to celebrities. A lot of women who feel like they don't have any power or status in society, they're very obsessed with like going to VIP sections and like, being shown on social media holding up wads of money or, taking pictures with celebrities so they can pretend like they know these celebrities. Because for women without social status, this is their only way to seek status. So you're still using Tina Knowles, though. You're still dehumanizing her. You're basically viewing her like she's just this trophy or this prize. And so you had people who got mad. Like this woman on the screen, she got pissed off because Tina Knowles decided that she is done taking photos for the day. So apparently that's enough to piss this woman off and make her sabotage her business. This woman did a TikTok review of Tina's gumbo, and you can actually hear in the background her daughter who's filming. Her daughter is saying, Mom, don't get upset about the whole Tina thing. Like, don't get upset. And then the woman starts off by talking about how rude and disrespectful Tina was towards her and how, she wanted to cry. She was going to break down and cry because Tina Knowles didn't want to take a picture with her. Do you see how our pedestal is in the sky? Your pedestal is in the sky. I'm telling you, the Creoles. I'm telling you, there's always somebody mad at a Creole. So if you are a successful Creole woman, your pedestal is so high up in the sky to the point where if you don't take a photo with a random person Who cares about your health? If you don't take a photo, she is going to cry. This woman literally admitted that she was going to have a psychological breakdown and burst into tears because a stranger, a woman she does not know, who owes her nothing, didn't want to take a picture with her. And have you ever noticed that, like, when you start a Black-owned business, the Black community is very bad at boundaries. Let's just be honest here. Historically speaking, the Black community has had their boundaries violated. And so I've noticed it's almost like this cultural norm within the Black community to not respect other people's boundaries. So if Tina Knwoles says she doesn't want to take a picture, well, then fuck her. Who cares about Tina Knwoles' boundaries? Who cares if her health system is compromised? Who cares if she doesn't want to stand up all day and take photos with strangers? And this is why, if you're an Exotical, you should not start a Black-owned business. Do not mark your business as being Black-owned. Don't do that, because then you're going to have a whole bunch of Black people coming in and violating your boundaries. They did this with the Turkey Leg Hut and like all these other Black-owned businesses. By the way, I know a lot of the Black businesses are like a hot mess, but I can't remember which restaurant they also did this with, where they had a dress code. They said, like, don't wear bonnets and stuff in the business. And then somebody, it was a Black woman, she came in naked and then, like, had a professional photographer take her photos and shit. So if you are a Black-owned business, if you're an Exotical, just don't get involved in that. Stop trying to participate in the Black economy. This is a part of why I enjoy having the Exotical space on here. I like that we have our own little corner of YouTube. We have our own little Exotical economy. Have you noticed that most famous Exoticals, they actually have a multiracial and multicultural audience? Their audience is not solely just Black, and if it is, usually their careers are very short-lived due to monoculturalism. Because we all know that sometimes in the Black community there is kind of this crabs in a bucket mentality where if you see somebody who's already privileged enough, she's already Creole enough, that's already a trigger right there. You being Creole is already strike one. So then on top of that, you're already rich as well and you're related to Beyonce, that's strike two. And now you don't want to take a picture with me? Oh, bitch, that's strike three. Now it's time for me to sabotage your entire business. Have you ever noticed that a lot of the crimes and sabotage that happen in the Black community, usually it's Black on Black. You know, usually it's Black women sabotaging other Black women or gossiping about other Black women. Even with the men, usually it's Black men who are also unaliving other Black men. So if you're an Exotical, never mark your business as being a Black-owned business. If I would have made a gumbo shop, I would have not put my name on it. I would have just anonymously did my stuff, just like how I do this YouTube channel. Just anonymously do it. Let people assume. If they want to assume I'm unambiguous, that's fine. If they assume that I'm non-Black, that's fine. I would rather have the mystery and just keep my privacy and then just collect the money and go. And by the way, speaking of that, Tina Knwoles is already rich. This is what a lot of people don't understand. Tina Knwoles didn't have to start a gumbo shop. She's already rich. She's not over here trying to be the next, like, Hell's Kitchen, or I forgot that famous chef's name. You know, she's not trying to be like a famous chef or whatever. All she wants to do is genuinely help Black women. That's all she has ever done. She started the hair care line with Beyonce, Sacred. Who do you think the hair care line was advertising to? So even though both Beyonce and Tina have multiracial and multicultural privilege, both of those women have been very Afrocentric, which in my opinion is not good. You know, that's not a good social climbing tactic. They don't need to be Afrocentric, especially not anymore. I think they should just go ahead and dip in and out of Blackness as opposed to trying to stay within Blackness, because look what happens. You know, look what happens when you try to stay within Blackness. Now let's get into the whole health department thing. So first you had this one beluga talking shit about Tina Knwoles, and that started the hate train. I literally was on TikTok, like I saw the entire thing from beginning to end. Nobody talked shit about Tina Knwoles until after this one lady said that she was so rude, she's going to make me cry, you know, so she was empathy baiting. Oh, I'm just a poor fat Black woman from the ghetto, and you know, this stuck-up rich colonizer, this Creole colonizer, Tina Knwoles, she didn't even want to take my photo. You know, she just views me as beneath her. That's kind of the undertone of this woman's post. So before that, if you go on TikTok, just scroll Tina's Gumbo and just look at all of the TikTok posts before that one woman started talking shit. All of the reviews were positive. They were saying they love Tina's Gumbo. You can look at the old TikToks and you'll see people standing in line. so they can get Tina's gumbo. They were raving over her gumbo and how good it was. But then once this lady posted this thing saying, she was so mean to me, and then right after she said that Tina Knwoles was mean to her, then suddenly she's like, oh, and this tastes bad. This gumbo tastes bad. And it's like, bitch, clearly you're being biased because you're just salty that she didn't want to take a photo. You're mad because you couldn't use her as your bitch. You couldn't clout chase off of Tina Knwoles and post it on your social media. And you know what? Chris Brown is doing it right. Chris Brown, he is using his exotical privilege correctly. He's like, no, I'm charging you bitches. You need to pay $1,000 to take a picture with me. Because with all the drama that I may have to deal with being that close to you guys, no, you need to pay me. So Tina Knwoles, not only was she generous enough to take photos for free, but then when she finally says, okay, I'm tired or I got to catch a flight or whatever, you don't know what's going on in her schedule. Suddenly, you got an angry black woman. Tina Knwoles, she turned this lady into an angry black woman. And then this woman decided to talk shit and, she said that she was rude. And then she said, oh, the gumbo tastes bad. So that is how the whole thing started. It all started with that one post. So then, after that, a whole bunch of black women, remember, we're supposed to be a black sisterhood, right? I thought that we're all the blueprint and, the white man still views you as black, and so all of us are in this together, right? I thought that you're supposed to be supporting Tina because, she's one of the few black-owned businesses that is at the Houston Rodeo. They're canceling the fucking dress code because women of black descent were showing their asses there. So shouldn't you be supporting the one business with a woman of color who is literally trying to cater to the black community by creating black foods like gumbo? But no, so after this beluga talked shit, then the hate train started, all the negative comments started, and then you had the woman who did the false accusation, and yeah, she was smart enough to not show her face. You had a woman give a false accusation to the health department, and then she said, oh, I got sick, and the only thing that I ate was Tina Knwoles gumbo. So then you had people accusing Tina Knwoles of having E. coli and salmonella in her gumbo. First of all, that's not how E. coli works. Anybody who does a simple Google search will know that E. coli, usually the symptoms don't come that fast. It comes several days later. Also, just because you caught food poisoning today, which is still debatable because the woman didn't prove on TikTok that she had food poisoning. All she did was send a fucking text message. All she did was basically be a Karen and call customer service. So these are our quote-unquote black sisters. Oh, black sisterhood. Oh, we're the blueprint. Oh, I'm starting a black-owned business to help my black sisters. So you had this lady, she basically she sent a customer service message saying, oh yeah, I have food poisoning symptoms, and the only thing that I ate was Tina's gumbo. So she's blaming something on Tina's gumbo with no proof. She has no definitive proof. There was no video of her eating the gumbo. There was nothing where she was timing what happened with the gumbo. There was nothing where you could definitively prove that her sickness came specifically from the gumbo. A person can get food poisoning, it's not always immediate. They can get food poisoning days later. So she could have had food poisoning or been sick because of something else. She could have had a virus. She could have had the stomach flu. But no, out of all the things that she wants to blame her sickness on, she wants to go ahead and try to go viral off of hating on this Creole woman. And that's another thing. Within the quote-unquote black sisterhood, I've noticed that if you're not quite black enough, the sisterhood will try to go viral off of hating you. They'll go viral off of quote-unquote exposing you. Black sisterhood, right? So after the girl also reported her saying that, she got food poisoning or whatever, then the black sisterhood had a field day with it. The blueprints had a field day with this. They literally started this rumor. Of course, here come the Creole witchcraft rumors. If you're pretty and rich and multiracial, you're into witchcraft. They do this with every different type of exotical. The Creole women are doing voodoo and hoodoo. The Afro-Latinas are doing Santeria. You've got all these different types of witchcraft that you're going to be accused of. If you're a multiracial black woman, they're going to accuse you of being demonic. And so people are saying that Tina was putting a spell on the gumbo, and she's trying to curse all the people who ate the gumbo. So that's why the ladies were getting food poisoning. Actually, it was only one woman who claimed to have food poisoning, and there was no proof that it came from the gumbo. She just falsely accused it of being the gumbo. But, just because one black girl had a weak stomach, suddenly, oh my God, it's Creole witchcraft. And by the way, the black community is also very hypocritical because they want to bash people for doing witchcraft. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, they're over here doing love spells, trying to get non-black men to fall in love with them. They're over here doing all kinds of manifestation and lighting candles and scripting and studying astrology, all so they can get the non-black male gaze. But then, suddenly, when they think that Tina is a witch, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world, you're a witch. The black community loves witches. What are you talking about? They worship Hollywood, and I thought Hollywood is like one of the most demonic places ever. So they worship everybody in Hollywood. That's why they wanted to take a picture with Tina in the first place. It's because she's in Hollywood. But then all of a sudden, when they get mad, suddenly everything's all bad and demonic, and you need to be shamed. You need to basically be burned at the stake because you're doing witchcraft and you're putting stuff in your gumbo so that you can curse all the women who eat it. Sweetheart, you've already cursed yourself enough. She doesn't need to curse you. You've already done a good job cursing yourself. Look at your body. Look at your life. Look at your finances. Look at how you're literally having a psychological meltdown because a woman that you don't even know doesn't want to take a photo with you. And you're saying that Tina's gumbo is cursed? You think that rich multi-billionaires who don't even need to have a gumbo shop, you think they're the ones who are cursed? You think that they have to curse random broke-ass, bum-ass women? They have to curse you in order to maintain their status? Don't flatter yourself, ma'am. Tina doesn't have to curse you. You've already done a great job cursing yourself. You, your mama and them, your baby daddy, all your friends and family. You guys have already done a great job cursing yourself. How are you going to curse someone and get power when those people are at the bottom, according to their own talking points? So that's another thing that was just laughable to me. So suddenly they were saying, oh, well, Tina, she's just trying to curse everybody who drinks the gumbo. Everybody who drinks it, they get cursed. And then Tina Knwoles is like siphoning off their energy and siphoning off their power. Clearly, Tina doesn't want your energy. That's why she's not taking a picture with your crazy ass. I wouldn't want your energy either. I don't want to siphon off anything from you, bitch. And then they wonder why multiracial black women jump in and out of the black community. This would be my cue to leave. This is my cue to go. Like, okay, I'm going to now jump out of the black community because clearly the black sisterhood doesn't work for me. So that's fine. I will go and have a sisterhood with women of other communities. I'll go be respected by them. They say go where you're celebrated, right? So do you think that Tina Knwoles is going to come back and do anything for black women at the Houston Rodeo again? Do you think she's going to come back and try to celebrate black culture anymore? Probably not. Because, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated, right? You're supposed to go where you're celebrated. So is Tina Knwoles celebrated amongst unambiguous black women? No. And by the way, for those of you who are going to try to comment and say, oh no, but her food was poisonous, that is actually false. So let's get into the entire health department thing. So then the health department, they came in and they inspected Tina Knwoles' gumbo thing for a couple of days. So whenever the health department is inspecting a restaurant, they do shut down the restaurant just for a couple days to make sure that everything's okay. So then, while the health department was inspecting Tina Knwoles' gumbo shop, all these belugas came on the internet saying, Tina Knwoles' gumbo shop got shut down. Tina Knwoles' gumbo shop is canceled. Tina Knwoles, she went out of business. All of that is false. Completely lying on a fellow quote-unquote black sister. This is black sisterhood for you. Being falsely accused of having your entire restaurant permanently shut down when that's completely false. So they did the inspection, and she passed the inspection in the end, which is why her gumbo shop opened back up. But of course, her fellow black sisters, they didn't want to report that because, like I said, your black sisters, they will try to go viral off of hating you. There's always a black sister trying to go viral for hating on an exotical black woman. So somebody who's multiracial, somebody who's light-skinned, somebody who's multi-generationally mixed. There's always a quote-unquote black sister coming against her fellow lighter-skinned black sister, as is the case with Tina. So nobody in black TikTok or black YouTube reported on the fact that her stuff passed and that she got opened back up. No, what they wanted to focus on was the fact that the health department said that she had her gumbo in unauthorized containers. So Not one of the health department things said that she had E. coli, salmonella, her stuff was moldy, it was rotten. There was nothing on the health department thing that said any of that. All they said was she had to get new containers. Getting new containers, that doesn't mean that your shit is poisonous. And then they tried to start a rumor and they were like, oh, she was keeping it in Home Depot buckets. They were like, not Tina keeping her gumbo in Home Depot buckets. And then they started like making these memes about like all these dirty buckets, like trying to say that that's what Tina was keeping the gumbo in. Hashtag Black Sisterhood. I just think it's hilarious how you got all these women online. You got all these unambiguous dark-skinned black women online complaining, saying that nobody defends them, nobody's there for them, nobody respects them. And it's like, well, if this is how you treat your fellow sisters who are more privileged than you, these are the sisters who can actually help you, right? Tina Knwoles was honoring African American culture. That was the whole point of her creating the Gumbo Shop. She was trying to honor African American culture in an African American city like Houston. She was trying to bring that culture to the Houston Rodeo, which is actually a great honor for people in the black community. But no, nothing you do is good enough, of course, because amongst the black sisterhood, there is a culture of complaining. That's why I say, is this really a sisterhood? Is that really the type of sisterhood that you want? And I will admit, I don't know how they treat other unambiguous women. It seems like they treat unambiguous women better. It seems like they are more likely to defend unambiguous women, because just imagine if Kelly Rowland was the one that was in charge of Tina's gumbo. Do you think that they would have been bullying her as hard? If it would have been Kelly Rowland who had a gumbo shop, do you think they would have said, oh, she's doing witchcraft and this is nasty and she didn't speak to nobody? Do you think they would have had that energy with Kelly Rowland? Amongst the black sisterhood, you are only going to receive empathy if they perceive you as being at the bottom, okay? So that means being the darkest, blackest, having the most coarse hair. This is according to the black community's own talking points. So I'm not making this up. If you don't believe me, go and watch Myowa's World. Go and watch Chrissy. Go and watch Queen Chama or I Am Aloho. Well, actually, I Am Aloho is trying to align herself with Exoticals now, so maybe not her, but go and watch all of the Afrocentric channels and you'll hear them talk about that. They feel like the darker you are and the blacker you are, the more you're at the bottom in society. So because Tina Knwoles does not fit that, she's not the blackest woman in the world, obviously. She's clearly multiracial and at one point was considered white passing by her own husband, Matthew Knowles. So, she's not relatable enough. And I've talked about how amongst black women, sometimes they get mad if they can't trauma bond with you. So if they can't relate to you, in terms of like colorism, texturism, or featureism, they don't have as much of a connection with you. They're going to view you as more of a status symbol, which means I'm only going to support you as long as you make me look good. So Tina Knwoles, I'm only going to support you as long as you make my Instagram look good. You need to come take a picture with me so I can look like I have status, so I can get those likes on Instagram, because I can't get as many likes and followers if it's just a picture of me. I have to have you, Miss Tina, standing next to me in the photo. Oh, you don't want to take a photo? Okay, well, you don't speak to nobody. Well, you need to be humbled now because you forgot where you came from. You don't speak to nobody, so now I'm going to sabotage your business. Hashtag black-owned businesses. And by the way, speaking of black-owned businesses, name one black-owned business that has never had an attempted sabotage by a fellow black person. Name one. I'll wait. Name one black-owned business that has never had a fellow black person try to leave bad reviews, do publicity stunts at their business, literally try to destroy their businesses, setting shit on fire, breaking their windows, coming and stealing. Name one black-owned business that has never had an attempted sabotage by a black person. And this is exactly why when black people become rich or famous, they go out of their way to move out of the black community. They don't want to live in a black neighborhood. They don't want to live in a black city. They don't want to live around all black people. They don't want to hang out in all black spaces. They immediately go to multiracial and multicultural spaces because they know that if you're trying to social climb, if you're trying to get rich, or if you're trying to simply have peace, you can't really have that in a monocultural black setting. Now, I mean, I'm not saying all black settings are bad. I think it kind of depends on like what country you live in. But here in America, a lot of people in the black culture are very competitive against any black person that is benefiting from isms or like multiracial black women. So I'm not surprised that they tried to sabotage Tina. So They said that her restaurant got shut down, which is actually false. She ended up passing the inspection and her restaurant was reopened 3 days later. And the only reason that it's shut down is because all restaurants get shut down while they're investigating it. So it's not like the health department came in and said, oh my God, your stuff is so bad and it's poisonous. No, if it really was poisonous, they would have completely revoked her license and everything. And also with the people saying that she had the unauthorized containers. Okay, well, guess what? Why is all the smoke going on Tina Knwoles? Where's the smoke for the health department? Why did the health department approve her business of having those containers in the first place? Because before you even begin your restaurant, you also have to go through inspections as well. So she went through the initial inspection and passed, which is why she was able to open the gumbo shop. And she had those exact same containers. So why is there no smoke for the inconsistencies within the health department? Why is all the smoke on Tina Knwoles? Like, oh, her containers were poisonous. Oh my God. And then also notice how they keep changing the story. It's like, okay, which one is it? Is it that Tina Knwoles doesn't speak to nobody? Is it that she's doing witchcraft? Or is it that she's using Home Depot containers? Like, people were going out of their way to try to go viral off of talking shit about the Exoticals. That's always what happens in the Black community because they can't go viral talking about unambiguous women. That will never make you go viral. Talking about just unambiguous women or the unambiguous community, that's not going to make you go viral. Just look at my channel. This channel has never gone viral talking about unambiguous women because they're not viral. Other unambiguous women and people in general don't really care to know about what's going on with them. So, hating on them or whatever, or making videos and kind of reporting and exposing them or whatever, that's not going to make you go viral. But you know who people do put on a pedestal? Exoticals. You know who people will go viral off of talking shit about? Creole women like Tina Knwoles. And also, with all this sabotage that they did to Tina, do you think that Tina is going to come back and try to serve the Black female community at the next rodeo? I mean, she might. Who knows? Maybe she will forgive them. But I'm just saying, generally speaking, this is why people don't start Black-owned businesses. This is why people don't want unambiguous Black women in their audience. It's because they're going to complain no matter what. Look at all the natural hair companies that have flopped over the years, all because unambiguous Black sisters, the Black Sisterhood, didn't support their stuff. The Black Sisterhood will find something to complain about. Remember the brand Miss Jessie's? They're like, oh, well, they're texturous because they're promoting curls. Or the brand Mixed Chicks. It's like, oh, well, they're being racist because they're just supporting mixed women. So it's like no matter what. Or like Miel, the hair care line, they're like, oh, well, that's making my hair fall out. Well, the oil makes my hair fall out. So it's like no matter what you do, if you start a business and you market as Black owned, and then you try to cater to unambiguous women, those same women will literally go back and bite the hand that feeds them. So the same business owners that are trying to serve them, the same business owners that actually care about representation, they don't really give a fuck because part of this culture is like complaining. I do feel like in the Black community, there is kind of this victim mentality sometimes, or this culture of complaining. So even if somebody is trying to celebrate your Black heritage, even if somebody's trying to celebrate African American culture and the gumbo and all that, that's still not good enough. Nothing you do is ever going to be good enough. And this is why I say, Exoticals, do not mark your businesses as being Black owned. Just let the public assume, let them guess whether you're Black or not. Let them fight over how Black you are. Just let them do that. And that's why a lot of Exoticals, you will see them doing that. They just let the public fight over whether or not they're Black, and then they just get their bags. They don't try to market as, oh, this is Black owned, or, I'm going to specifically try to promote African American culture. No. You wanted representation, so be your own representation then. Go find an unambiguous woman to start a gumbo shop then. Go find somebody else. Why didn't you ask Kelly Rowland to start a gumbo shop? Why were you so excited about Tina Knwoles? Why did you not push Kelly Rowland to the forefront of creating a gumbo shop? Why didn't you ask Lupita Nyong'o or Whoopi Goldberg to start a gumbo shop? Why didn't you ask Tika Sumpter to start a gumbo shop? Why was there so much excitement for Tina Knwoles? So this is what I'm talking about. There's this culture where the unambiguous community will hype you up just to tear you down later. And I feel like a lot of them can be very emotionally volatile, kind of like the woman who said, oh, I'm going to burst out crying because Tina didn't take a picture with me. And then she proceeded to then sabotage Tina Knowles' business right after that. Bitch, I don't want to take a picture with you. All it takes is me not taking a picture. Now you're sabotaging my business. I wouldn't want to take a picture with you either. So this whole Gumbo scenario just proves the emotional volatility of the Black Sisterhood when it comes to Exoticals. You know, the Exoticals were never the center of the Black Sisterhood, and that's okay. You know, that's totally fine, because honestly, I think that you're much better off when you're not trying to seek approval from unambiguous Black women. If they've never been approved of by anyone in their society, and they haven't even been approved of by their own mothers, according to their own talking points, their own mothers have told them to stay out of the sun. Their own mothers have neglected their hair, or not taught them how to do their hair and makeup, and not taught them how to have hygiene and stuff. So these women, according to their own talking points, have never been approved of or never been accepted. So why would you, as an Exotical, expect them to accept you and embrace you with open arms? They're not going to. So this is why I say burn the cape, ladies. Burn the cape for the unambiguous sisterhood. Burn the cape for the Black Sisterhood. It doesn't exist, or at least it doesn't exist with you. Never put yourself in the position to where you're going to be a slave to Black women's emotions. You never want to do that. You know, that was Tina Knowles' mistake, was thinking that she is a part of the Black Sisterhood. You know, thinking that she is just as Black as anyone else and that they would accept her with open arms. You know, that was her mistake, thinking that she would be treated the same as, let's say, like a Kelly Rowland or something like that. She is not the same as Kelly Rowland. And like I said, a lot of unambiguous women, they need Creole women to be their representation. You know, they need mixed women. They need light-skinned women to be their representation. Because like I said, why didn't they beg Kelly Rowland to start a gumbo shop? Why didn't they make Kelly Rowland as famous as Beyonce? You know, they don't want to, because they would rather associate themselves with us, women who are benefiting from these same isms that they complain about, which is also hypocritical in and of itself. But it's like they want to associate themselves with these quote-unquote privileged, bougie Black women. And by the way, I thought Creoles were supposed to be colorist, texturist, featurist, and racist, and they upheld the paper bag test. So why were people standing in line to take pictures with a Creole woman in the first place? Which one is it? I thought that the Creoles were so notorious for being so colorist. But then you got all these unambiguous women begging to take photos with Tina Knowles, fiending over Tina Knowles, begging to have Tina Knowles be a part of their profile pictures. And by the way, that's another part of the Black Sisterhood. They're always going to have an avatar or a profile pic of somebody that's light-skinned, mixed race, Creole, whatever, curly hair. But what do you ladies think? Would you ever start a Black-owned business and then mark it as being Black-owned? Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.